Check it out. You're in tune to the dynamic duo, Reese and Ira, on the corner, Real Talk Corner. Real Entertainment Network.
Ira and Reese. The talk is still real. We still on the corner. We gonna touch on some topics.
SKN, we got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions. The people want answers. Yeah, we got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions. The people want answers. Yeah, it's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. Yeah.
Ira and Reese.
Dynamic duo.
Talk is still real. We still on the corner.
Real talk.
We gonna touch on some topics.
It's real talking, it's real talk. It's real talking, it's real talk. It's real talking, real talk. It's real talking, real talk, yeah. Check it out, you're in tune.
My daddy made this beat.
Yo, check it out, you're in tune to the dynamic duo, Reese and Ira, on the corner, Real Talk Corner. Real Entertainment Network.
Ira and Reese. The talk is still real. We still on the corner. We gonna touch on some topics.
SKN, we got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions.
Okay. So we're live and we're on Facebook and YouTube. This is Real Talk Corner. And tonight, you don't have the usual setup of Ira and Reese. Cheers to Reese. He's taking a little break. But we have a wonderful fill-in for him in Miss Siobhan. And
Hey,
you might find her on Facebook, wherever you would see her. But Siobhan, how are you?
I'm good. I am good. It's been a good Monday. Last week was stressful. This week is great. So I'm good. Blessed.
Last week was
How are
stressful and
you?
this week is great. I'm doing well. Excited about our topic. Our topic is not the effects of brain drain on developing countries, ITEBULUS. It is just the effects of brain drain on developing countries. Somebody made a mistake, that somebody being me, and I did not clear off that last piece, and I'm not going to
Fabulous.
change
Want to
it
know what you
until
call him
after.
name?
Tebulus will be all right. Tebulus love the exposure. Tebulus all the time. But yes, tonight we're going to be talking about the effects of brain drain on developing countries, and I guess we're going to get into why it's even important. Why would you even want to have a conversation surrounding something as some people would say
It might
mundane
seem
because you
trivial.
always talk
Yeah.
about it. It's like, why are you talking about that? But something, like brain drain, why are you talking about that? Or we also want to see what causes brain drain and, if there's any way to fix brain drain.
Right.
Siobhan she's nervous, so you guys go easy on her for her first night.
Please.
Remind you guys as you come in, or let me not say guys because we live in a different world. I remind the people as they come in to just share the show and let's have a healthy discussion. Okay, so let's start out with a definition of brain drain, right? Simple. Brain drain, it's some sort of migration from one country. Of course, it doesn't have to necessarily be countries. It could also be industry, but
Within an
it's a
organization.
yeah, it could be an organizational brain drain. Yeah, so we did a little research, but we're gonna focus on geographical brain drain. We're gonna focus
Right.
on people moving from country to country, right? people moving from less developed countries to more developed countries is what we're mostly gonna focus on, and also probably make reference to Saint Kitts and Nevis, the Caribbean, and other under developing countries. So Siobhan is going to help me out with this definition. So it is the emigration of people, people with skills and a certain level
Skills
of
and education. That's the main
education.
point.
That is what we're going to be focusing on. It's not just migration, but it's people who has a certain level of skill and a certain level of education, moving from one
Right.
country to the other in seek of opportunities or maybe a better standard of living or whatever
Right.
the case may be, right? Is there anything you want to add to that definition?
You hit the points. I think the main point to
Got it.
mention is that it's not just the movement of people, but the educated and skilled, and it's to pursue better conditions or perceived better conditions.
Correct. Okay. So, brain drain, right? And now that we've defined brain drain, we're now going to dive into it. We're going to dive into brain
Right.
drain, and we're going into the why, the why we have brain
Well, I
drain.
think before we go into it, we could talk about how it's affected the Caribbean, like why we're having the conversation in the first place, and the evidence that we've seen in the Caribbean to show that it's actually something that has been affecting us for a while. Um,
Okay.
I was doing some research that showed that the Caribbean region in general had one of the largest problems with brain drain in comparison to even some of the larger areas like Asia and stuff. The Caribbean had
Mm-hmm.
beat out those regions in terms of the number of people, tertiary and skilled people, tertiary level educated and skilled people who've left the Caribbean mostly to go to the United States of America. And I thought that was kind of staggering, knowing that
Yeah.
a region so small could have such a big impact to pass out larger regions that also experience the same problem.
Yeah. Population. What do you call it? Population ratio is probably how they did that. So even
Right,
though you may look
right,
at India's billion plus people, when you do it per 100,000 capita, it is,
right.
a million from India is not like,
Not
it's
a
like,
huge part of the population, right?
yeah,
But in the Caribbean, we have smaller populations. Of course, even when a few leave, I think we would feel the impacts of it more.
yeah, for sure. Um, and I think we have been feeling the impacts of those, and we're gonna try to prove that. Um,
Hmm.
we're also gonna have to, I guess, get into us too. You know what I mean? Um, we might be a part of
Right.
the problem too, but the reasons. Okay,
Definitely.
so cause number one, right?
Yes.
Causes.
Yes. So, did we touch on why it's a problem? Like what's lost when people like me and you decide that we're gonna leave home and live in another country? What does, in our example, what does Nevis lose? Does Nevis lose anything? Because I know some people might think that, I mean, okay, they leave, they're gone, they decide not to live here, we ain't lose none. That ain't nothing
Good
to us.
riddance to them. Good riddance to them. We could talk about good riddance to them. Yeah, no, definitely. There's clear off the point, there's a loss in revenue in the country. In different
Right.
aspects, of course, tax revenue. There's
Hmm.
also an impact to economic growth, industries there. You know what I
Right.
mean? And we could dive into these, of course, as I rattle them off. There's
Hmm.
also um, lack of industries being developed,
Right.
because you have a lot of great
Innovation.
minds now. Innovation is
Right.
now stagnant,
Right. And I think
non-existent.
people don't see that as an issue, but it could
Yeah.
be because I mean, if the great minds and stuff are leaving, people who could come up with some great ideas in tech development and stuff like that, they won't be
Mhm.
contributing those ideas to, in our instance, Nevis. But
Correct.
America would get the benefit.
Correct. Well, America will, which is one of the main countries that people migrate to. America is not the only beneficiary of brain drain. The opposite of brain drain is called brain gain. There is also
Hmm.
Canada. There's also European countries,
The
more
UK,
likely the
hmm,
UK. The UK would benefit substantially, even if you go back to what you call it back in the day. The what's that
Windrush,
movement?
Windrush.
Windrush.
Yep.
Windrush. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like I don't drain them of the natural resources, and now I'm going to
And I
drain
can
them
take
of
the
the
people
people.
too.
Yeah, I'm going to take
Right,
the
the human
people. You know
capital.
what I mean?
And to be honest, we talk about Windrush, but I think that might have been the beginning of it.
Yeah.
In between, it might have slowed down. I don't think there might have been such a huge exodus at once after that, but it's been continuing since then. Um,
Correct. Correct.
and I guess we
Correct.
could talk about later on if we think it's ever going to stop.
I don't. Yeah, we definitely gonna have to talk about that. And you could even look at brain drain within the Caribbean. We're home to people from different nations,
Right.
Guyanese, Jamaicans. But likewise, I was born in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. And one of the reasons why I was born in St. Croix is because my father migrated to the USVI, which a lot of other
Same here.
um, St. Kitts and Nevis nationals
Hmm.
actually migrated to the USVI because of opportunities there. So let's talk about revenue loss in taxes. I mean,
Hmm.
it's clear. It is clear. Less people who earn more are gonna be not like people who earn more and able to pay more in taxes. No, we don't have
Taxes?
an income tax,
No.
right? We don't have an income tax, but um they're also going to spend.
Even
So
the
the dou-
Social
so,
Security levy, like if the
oh
Social
yeah,
Security that you contributions, I think that would be a significant loss as well. I mean,
something that
you
St.
could
Kitts and
consider
Nevis
that.
rely heavily on, ain't you?
Right,
Right?
right. So we won't have
Correct.
the
Correct.
income tax. It will contribute towards income tax, but all of the other taxes, property taxes,
Hmm.
business taxes, all of those things we won't be able to contribute to. And in a country like ours, I think that's a huge portion of our revenue. So right
Yeah.
there, it's a setback because look at us. We are in the generation of tertiary educated people. Like we've gone through the
Mm-hmm.
process of going through university and all of that. We are at the point
Hmm.
now where we are working up to making the most money in our careers and stuff and
Hmm.
building ourselves and moving into higher status and whatnot.
Correct.
This would have been the prime time for anybody collecting any kind of taxes from us. This is the best time for them to be taking money from us.
Yeah.
Later on we might decide that okay, we'll move back to Nevis to retire or whatever, but at that point we won't have as much to contribute. So at the
Benita.
prime of our lives, and we can be
Hmm.
contributing towards the company's revenue, we are not there. So
Yeah. Exactly. Uncle Sam love us right now. I'm telling you. Uh, Uncle Sam love us. And good evening. Thanks for joining. And as you can see, I have Siobhan tonight with me. And
good
another
night.
thing would be also, what about economic stimulus, right? So another
Hmm.
thing that people in our age group and um, are looking to do is own a home, buying a
Right.
vehicle. Import duty taxes are missing out now,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you decide you're going to import stuff from. I mean, most things are imported, so you're going to miss out
Right.
on those taxes and anything that comes with buying a home. The development, the
Exactly.
economical stimulus with construction workers. If you
Mm-hmm.
decide you're going to buy from TDC, Hasfords, whatever the case may be, that's another thing. There's that effect that we have
Right.
just not by coming back to St. Kitts and Nevis. And that
Right.
is the effect that brain drain, one of the effects that brain drain has on developing countries. You see what I'm saying? So
Hi, Giselle.
why am I not seeing these? Why
The
am I not seeing
comments.
these things? Yeah, it's almost as if.
People are
Okay.
rolling in.
Yeah. So
Hi, Gigi.
so so
Yes. So
brain drain and the effects of brain drain for those who are just joining in, and it is mostly focused on developing countries, right? Now,
right.
what is a developing country? That's another question, right? What is a developed country and a developing country? And who determines what is a developing country and who determines who is already developed? And from what I've gathered, it's the IMF. The IMF is the
Right.
one entity that comes in and tell people, yo, this is you and this is them, right? Um,
Right.
there's
I think
certain
there are
things like,
certain
go
factors
ahead.
they look at, but to be honest, I don't know what they are. I just know that we have been classified as developing for a while. Whether or not, I think the next stage after that is advanced.
Yeah.
Um,
So what I've gathered is they look at your infrastructure, your social structure, your economic structure, how technologically advanced you are in society. So, for instance, how developed is your healthcare system to handle issues? How developed are you technological wise? Are you on the top when it comes to technology? Are you just
mhm.
trailing behind with technology? Like, we're talking about 6G now, you're still using LTE, that's a problem. You're still developing. You see what I'm saying? You're still developing. Uh, of course, in healthcare, are you
That's a
leading the
big one.
way in medical advancements? Are is it that people now in your country need to migrate to another country to get healthcare?
Healthcare.
All of these
Proper
are
healthcare.
factors. Exactly, right? Proper healthcare. Thank you for the correction. All of these are factors where you could say you're probably still developing if most of the people who need proper healthcare for certain illnesses have to migrate or go to somebody else's country,
Right.
a developed country.
Do
Uh,
you do you think we could get out of developing ever?
well, we ain't reached there yet. We're gonna leave
The
that for a
Caribbean
little
as a
later down.
whole.
Well, we're gonna when we reach to that segment, we're gonna think
Okay.
we're still talking about uh excuse me, why
Why it's
why
a
we even
problem?
talking about this, why it's a problem,
Hmm.
right? So um you know we've said that there's a loss in tax revenue, so there's also a loss in the actual development of the country. So it's like a never ending
Correct.
cycle, and that's probably why you asked the question that you asked, because it's like,
Mhm.
imagine we are a developing countries, and the minds that you need to develop the country
Outside.
outside doing great things for other countries. Meanwhile,
And
those who go ahead.
I was gonna say the reason why they're outside is because you are still developing. They prefer to live in an advanced economy. So the minds that would help you move to an advanced economy are not coming because you're developing.
You're developing. It's like
Right.
it is like a double-edged sword, man. It is like
Right.
and that's why you might feel like that question, which is a valid question, but we're gonna deal with that when we talk about, is there a way that we could actually reduce brain drain? I don't think we would ever be able to. I don't think we would ever be able to actually end brain drain unless there is
No.
some restriction from the other country that everyone is going into. So when you look at, let's say, America, for instance, they offer skill visas. What they call it, the H2B visa or
H1B.
whatever it's called. Yeah, that visa, and they could limit the amount of people that comes in based on skills just by limiting the amount of visas they issue. So if America decides, yo, I think we good over here, Europe, Canada, they could stop people, and that may in itself reduce brain drain. But that's a different part of the segment. So
But
let's
I
talk
was
about it.
gonna say, we don't know if that's gonna happen though, because the other side of the brain drain is the brain gain, and I think America recognizes that they benefit a lot from having these people from other countries come in because it's cheaper.
Definitely,
So,
definitely. Definitely. So yeah, so we have a cost for development. The countries themselves are gonna suffer, right? You may have people who
right.
are some of the leaders actually in the field, renowned in the world, right? Renowned in the world. We do have people. Like if you look at India, for instance, right? And I'm gonna come back to St. Kitts and Nevis because I'm gonna point out some divisions and stuff. But you do have like India and stuff. You have the lead of the Google, one of the largest companies in the world. That's an Indian on top there. You know what I mean? How many medical doctors and stuff? Nevis have a
Right.
medical doctor in Dr. Daniel,
Daniel.
who would have been heading the hospital in Washington DC area, I think.
Washington DC. Yeah.
You have the doctor from over Bath. Why is his last name slipping me? Isles? Is he a brain surgeon? A
I
neurosurgeon?
think so. Yes, I think he would have been here a couple of years ago, doing something. Yes. We have a few. We have a few in the
Yeah,
medical field.
yeah, in the medical field alone. In the medical field alone. Now we're gonna get into it because I don't think Nevis is short of doctors, but
No.
I'm just pointing out these are leaders
Did you
in
say
their industry.
Winston Isles? That's the name.
Okay, Winston Isles. Okay, I also watched a piece about, I forgot his name, but he works for Delight. He just got a huge position in Delight. He's from St. Kitts originally. You know what I mean? Even someone as more recent as Dr. Wilkinson, she is now trying to do great things when it comes to
Artificial intelligence.
artificial. Yeah,
Big
exactly.
things.
And research. You know what I mean? What she is working on right now is groundbreaking,
Yes.
right? That is new. You see what I'm saying? Though it's gonna benefit the Caribbean on a whole, God bless her for going in that direction and focusing on a place that is dear to her heart. Jeffrey Liebert. Yeah, there's so many people out there. Yeah, I've been afraid to say Ira Willett too. You check.
I mean, big
Siobhan Lewis.
contributions to tech. Tech is a huge
Yeah.
field, and it's something that the whole globe is gravitating to. And I mean, those minds are outside. So
Yeah, definitely.
yes, Ira
Definitely.
Willett.
As we push.
Big up
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm not a leader in it, but I still know. But these are people who you would have hoped would be able to make a certain contribution to the Nevis St. Kitts society. You get what I'm saying? But when you really look at
Right.
it now, the truth is they might not have been who they are if they came back to St. Kitts and Nevis.
Definitely.
You see?
Definitely.
So it's again a part of the problem, a double-edged
Exactly. It's a
sword.
cycle. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So we talked about the cost of the loss of revenue. We talk about the not having the benefit of the the education that the people have. But I think a big thing, we kind of touched on it, is the loss of innovation. I
Oh.
think in the Caribbean, a lot of people who leave, we leave initially for education. And I think leaving the Caribbean and being educated in a different culture, being educated in a different environment, it gives us a certain level of exposure that we don't get back in the Caribbean that could lead to innovation. I think there are a lot of businesses, even outside of the
Mhm.
regular professional careers and stuff. I think innovation in terms of entrepreneurship and
Mhm.
contributing to the economy in that way, I think by having this group of people not return, I think the Caribbean loses out on a lot of that. We know the doctors and stuff to talk about because we see articles on them, but I think there are a lot of
Mhm.
people involved, just regular entrepreneurs coming up with new businesses and contributing to America in those ways that we might not know about. And
Yeah.
I think that would be a loss for the Caribbean economy as well, not having those ideas flow through the Caribbean. So that's
Yeah,
another thing.
and I agree with you. I agree with you definitely. I did say, I did say in the definition, skilled and educated, right? So we definitely have to focus on those. I have a toddler running in my background, so I hope he's not too distracted. And he's
Leave Jaja
hungry.
alone.
Yeah, and he's having fun. You can't stop him. You cannot stop him from having fun. Um, but you bring up a good point. You know what I mean? You do see some people return. Daniel is one of
Hmm.
those out there. Yeah, and we mentioned him, Dr. Daniel
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
Gilbert. I couldn't remember his first name, but like you said, that's a good point. With the entrepreneurs and stuff that may have brought new industries,
Hmm.
because that is one of the problems, right? Lack of industries.
Hmm.
Um, I
And
think.
I just thought of it. The definition, it focuses on the skilled and the educated. I feel like at some point they need to consider the creative minds, because
Well,
I
the
think
creative mind is skilled.
it's skills. Do you call that skilled? Okay.
Yeah, it's the skill, but we could now go ahead and talk about the creative mind on a whole. You're like a Van Ansdale, creative mind,
Exactly.
arts.
Exactly. Arts, theater,
Yeah.
things like that that are not necessarily as developed back home. People who have those kinds of skills, and because Dr. Janice, she talks about the blue and the green and the orange economies a lot. And I think a lot of people don't
Hmm.
realize that it's not just her talking about this, as a global conversation. So the orange economy, I think that's the one that focuses on the creative minds. And I think a lot of
Hmm.
countries are moving towards developing that as an industry. MSR coming to St. Kitts and
Hmm.
Nevis, it would have been, I guess it is because it's in St. Kitts now. So that would be I think it would be one of the first bumps that we've had in a while in terms of developing a creative economy. If we could have movies and stuff coming out of St. Kitts and Nevis. I think I saw an article about where we had Cicely Tyson. She's the best known actor, I think, coming out of um, St. Kitts Nevis. I think I saw an
Hmm.
article about a young lady who was into acting as well. I think she was on Broadway or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, But I mean, having those people come back and contribute, losing out on that, I think is an impact to the economy as well. We are missing out on developing that a creative industry. That's
Yeah,
the
but
it
why is
thing
it
lost.
important to
So
have a creative industry, right? Arts is what tells your story. So it is
right.
important for us to have a creative industry and develop our creative industry, because these are the people that actually tell the stories that we're reading to this day. And
Hmm.
without those, without the art, our livelihoods and this period of time would be lost. You know about the Renaissance period. You know about all these different periods because of art, right?
The
These different
stories were told.
paintings, the different stories that were told. So if we don't
Mhm.
have the creative minds and especially the arts, then I'm afraid that we would lose a lot of our culture. And you could even see it
Definitely.
happen to this day, where
Hmm.
a lot of the things are that surrounded our culture and who we are have like disappeared. And that is probably one of the reasons why slaves weren't able to write. So yeah, we're losing out on them. STEM, environment, and
Right.
infrastructure.
Right. Those are things I think um we need to be positioning ourselves right now. If we don't start really developing tech, moving into STEM, we're gonna be left behind. And the only way to really get us there is with the people, having the people who um, know how to develop those areas, contributing to it. And if we don't stop the brain drain problem, then what we're gonna have to do is either continue to be left behind, higher or have to import. We're gonna be one of the importers of people to develop those industries for us. And I think it would be sad if that's the only option when we have our own people who might be more passionate about um, doing it because it's not just a job, it's your home. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, you're definitely spot on with that. So let's just let's talk about let's talk about the why, why
why
people
why we
why
don't go
why
home,
why
why we
people yeah
leave and
why
never come back?
why people why
It's a lot.
yeah, if you look, Adele, if you look in my sunglasses, you see a really bright light. It's called like a ring light. I have a ring light directly in front of me, and I be seeing circles after, and I don't want to deal with that. But let's talk about why
Let's get the obvious one out
what
of the way.
causes
The obvious one.
brain drain?
The obvious one is the money.
The money, the
The
money.
money.
People seeking money. Okay, okay.
That's it.
So yeah, the money, the money. You go where it's sad,
You follow the money.
right? You follow the money. It's sad.
Look, Ira, if you are going to take time and go and
Yeah.
get a student loan
Mm-hmm.
to study, you are going to want to make sure that you could pay back for your student loan, and every once in a while go and buy yourself something nice.
Mm-hmm.
If the
Mm-hmm.
country, if your home country can't afford you that, then I could understand why people choose not to return just for the money.
Yeah.
See, Jesus actually got a
Def-
Bamanku loan. And
yeah,
that I
yeah,
think
yeah. Them.
that's most people's thing. Pay off that loan, and then after that we could consider everything else. But um,
Yeah, that is it. That is a
I
part
think
of
that's the
it.
big
The
one.
loan. The loan is a yeah. I mean, student loan is a problem everywhere because education is expensive. But when it comes to paying it back, then you have to look at what are your options. Are you going back into a system where you might find a job and the job is paying you a mediocre salary for what you're doing, where you actually need this money to pay for a loan, but this is also the time where you need to get a house,
Hmm.
right? You want a mortgage and you got to drive. So you'll find there's a lot of issues with that. It's probably easier for some people paying a loan from a country outside of their country, especially if the dollar is worth more. You
Right,
know. So if I'm
right.
going back, um, I don't know how much these man make in IT, but even if they're making 10 grand a month, right?
10 grand a month is big Pyra. Trust
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah,
In Nevis, 10 grand a month is a big, 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 big job.
yeah, yeah. 10 grand a month
So
is a bit.
right. And then the thing is we have to realize back home, I don't know if it's still the case now, but I know at one point they would pay you for your bachelor's and that's it. So if you had ambitions of becoming anything past bachelor's, you told yourself that whatever that cost is, it's on your own dime
Mm-hmm.
if you plan to return to Nevis because they're not gonna pay you anything higher for having a master's degree or a PhD.
Mm,
Um, so in that case, like
really?
why would you return home and you're not getting paid for your qualifications and you could stay in this country and get paid for your qualifications? It's
You
not
see that comment
attractive.
from? You see that comment from Shadan?
Yes, sir.
Um, I think Jetty Taylor asks what is considered to be a decent salary, and it's gonna differ for people. It's gonna differ for where you live, and it's gonna differ for what your expenses are. So, if for instance I live in Nevis but I have no loans, then it's different for if I lived in Nevis and I have loans. I have to pay a student loan and a mortgage and a car loan. $10,000
Exactly.
wouldn't go as far, you know.
See, Adele
Versus
says Adele says realistically they're only gonna pay 4K max in Nevis for a degree, and then the mortgage would be 2K. So if
hard.
4K, if you're going back home and getting 4K EC and your mortgage or even rent, because I think rent home is close to like $1,500 and stuff now,
A rough,
right
a rough.
away. If you have your mortgage and then you have a student loan, if you have a student loan and then you have a car loan, if you have a vehicle, everybody back home have a vehicle.
You have to drive.
Right there, you see your disposable income is gone. Like it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It
Yeah.
doesn't at all. And yeah. So yeah, money, of course, is probably the number one, and lack of, like Adele mentioned it, lack of advancement, lack of opportunity. When you take up your good self and decide you want to do this in a field, I want to be this. Somebody they might decide they want to be a masters of this, or they want
Mm-hmm.
to be a philosophy of doctor in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, with all that education, with all to offer in this field, not to knock on teaching, I got to come back home a bit just to
Teach.
teach
Teach.
because there's nothing else for me to do.
That's what's available.
It's like, why
And
did
we
I
need
even
to
go through all of that?
right. We have
Is
literal
the question.
PhDs and teaching it at the secondary level. That's the opportunity that's there. And I think that's a big hindrance for a lot of people. Like you say, you take up your good self to try and better yourself. You have ambitions and whatnot, and then I've known of people who graduated with bachelor's degrees, and because there were no
Hmm.
opportunities when they came back, they had to go and step. And I think that's an insult.
Really?
Because yeah, I think that if you take up the initiative to go and seek out education, I think there should be positions for you to come back to, even in the civil service. And it's you might be employed by the civil service, but you might not be employed in your field again
Hmm.
because what you
Hmm.
come back and you have to take what's available, which might not necessarily be in your field. Like you studied tech,
Hmm.
right? When you
Hmm.
graduated, if you were to return to Nevis, what would have been
Hmm.
your opportunity?
Bank or government. Bank or government. Maybe hotel. Maybe hotel.
Hot,
I don't know.
and
Hotel
that's
is
the
a
reality for
possibility too.
most people.
Yeah.
That's the
Bank or
reality for
government.
most people. You come back, you work at one of the hotels, you work in a bank,
Hmm.
or you work for government.
Yeah.
So
But the problem is there's only so much jobs available in those positions, right?
that's it. That's it,
Yeah.
and that's why you end up having to take a job either outside of your field, or you just take up a job to help you tide over. In the meantime, we as in the other country that you might have gone to get your degree, you're in high demand because tech is in high demand. So people
Yeah.
want you, and in your country you can't come back home and get the same level of what's the word, appreciation, no, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You're not
Definitely.
sought out. There's no availability for you like there is outside.
Definitely. And and being a small society, it is also quite understood and recognized is who know you as well. Eh? So when it comes to government, we don't know what the problem is with government. Eh? It all depends who in
Mm-hmm.
government and who they think you support, how they feel like you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
behave. They might give you the job just to like keep you in line, but
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing. The other thing is, like I said, hotel industry. How many directors of IT one hotel have? We have one hotel in Nevis that probably would have a director of IT, which is the Four Seasons Resort. All the other hotels
Right.
probably don't even have an IT staff. You know what I
Right.
mean? When it comes to the banks, it's really not
Same
much
thing.
different. The same thing.
Same
It's
thing.
the
The
same
jobs are
thing. Yeah.
limited. In certain
Very
fields, the jobs
limited.
are extremely limited.
And you
And
already got
then
people in
when
there.
it comes to the civil service as well, I mean, you have a certain number of jobs, and this is a semi-controversial topic.
Hmm.
But even if you go home and you get a job in the civil service, you would only advance if somebody retire, if somebody dead. That's the reality. Because
True.
everybody is in the civil service. Like they basically remain, most people remain there until it's time to retire.
Just said dead.
So die,
Yeah, just said dead. Nobody
passes
with the
away.
retire thing. They don't retire. You know they don't move. When you talk about this
Well,
retire thing, they might not
it's
retire.
a sad, but it's a sad. I think they've made it now to where you have to at a certain point when you reach a certain age you have to move out of the force. But I think that's when I speak to friends who've graduated and they're back home working in the civil service. I think that's the number one frustration. You're back home and you're working, but you can't advance because the
Mm.
people who have been there in the civil service for longer, they remain there, and the only way for you to move up in seniority is for those people to leave. And it's not happening at the pace that it needs to happen. When you have hundreds of students graduating from high school every year, and then you add on those that are returning or supposed to be returning from university, and you
Hmm.
have the same number of jobs and the same number of people working, most people don't have any opportunity to move into the civil service so easily. And it's sad.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's sad in some case because you could look at the bright side of it. It maybe seems like Nivisians have longevity, because they're not dead, because they're not retired, and they're not dead. So they're good. But I want
But
to go back to
it's not good for the people.
the youngsters. I want to go back to your
Right.
son's comment because he said brain drain sometimes is a result of many being brain bleached, past brainwash. Many have been programmed to look up to and support other groups of people other than themselves. So we will find a lot of reasons to seek to suppress our own. I think he said a lot there. I think
Hmm.
um, from what I get in, from what he said there, I understand what he's saying. Um, I would have to think about it a little deeper,
Hmm.
of course. Yeah. Whenever it comes to self oppression, That is a thing. That is a thing. And yeah, that one kind of deep. That one kind of heavy right now. It's very heavy. But on a serious note, now, we were talking about why, right? So I could just, I mean, I could use myself as an example, and of course you as well. So one, from me, the opportunity. I thought to myself, I would love to. I would love to go back to Nevis. I love the place, but are there any opportunities for me to really develop the life that I want to? And one might say, well, you could have come back and do your own thing, but the problem is does the environment exist for that? So that is something
Because
that we're gonna have to get into, right? Does the environment exist? I said to myself, the environment doesn't exist for that. So I seek employment here in the United States. I am a US citizen, and there's the conversation that you and I had. We were both born in St. Croix. So who lost us? Was it St. Croix? Was it Nevis? I would say
Nevis.
Nevis, yes, because Nevis took the economic burden of us both being kids and putting us through primary school and secondary school. And I must say big up to St. Kitts and Nevis for offering free education to that point, because that
Right.
in itself is major, A lot of countries, you don't get free
They don't have
education.
that.
Yeah, and that in itself is commendable and is something that I think we take for granted, right? But I had to step away because once I got to the level of tertiary, I needed to go to college to advance myself as an intellect, right? And in order for me to advance myself as an intellect, I decided to go to the United States of America. And once I got out to the United States of America and I saw the different opportunities that were up here, how developed it is, it was hard for me to say I am just going to immediately return, because I felt like my contribution at this point of graduation would have been insignificant for the development of Nevis. I think I would be able to offer much more
With
if I
experience.
take some experience from a developed country and then move that experience back into a developing country. So that was one reason, right? I don't know if you want to touch if that was a reason of yours as well.
Oh, yes. Um, Definitely. I think when I looked at my opportunities, it would have been the same. Bank or government. I'm really and truly, I'm hesitant to think about working for the civil service. So it would have been going back to the bank. And same way I would have want to gain more experience, because when I left Nevis to go to university, my intention at the time was always to return.
Hmm.
I love Nevis. Some people out there might say they love Nevis more than me, but I don't think so. Um,
Me?
um, but it was always my intention to return. I never thought I would have been out here for this long, but when I think about um, the opportunity that I
Mhm.
have here versus what I would have had back home, I think that made the decision a lot easier for me. Um, but that my number one reason for remaining outside, JT mentioned it as not too long ago, was my son.
Mhm.
Um, when I finished university, he would have been about 4 years old. And at that
Mhm.
point, he had already shown interest in technology and stuff like that. And I was like, do I take him back to Nevis and have him go through this school system that exists?
Yeah.
And to be at the time, I felt like the school system that he would have been going through in primary school would have not changed much from what we would have gone through when we were in primary school.
Mhm.
So do I take him back to Nevis where he studies the same subject, maths, science, social studies, English, or put him in the school system in the States where he's exposed to coding, computer technology at the elementary
Mm-hmm.
school level,
Yeah.
and things like music. They teach music as a subject and not as an extracurricular activity.
Mm.
He's exposed to more sports. He's exposed to just a whole lot more in the education system up here. Do I take him back to Nevis just for that, or do I put him in an environment where he could be better off at the end of the day? And when I thought about it that way, to me, it was a clear decision.
Mm. Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
that is an excellent reason. That is an
Mhm.
excellent reason. Um, y- you touched on something, which is the lack of development in our educational system. I just want to say we did a show on education back in the day here in RTC. Just go back in the archives and watch that interview if you didn't catch it, right here on Red Network. We had Joy Napier and the now junior minister Janelle Nisbet on that show. We're talking about education. We also did a show with Troy Liburd, being the Minister of Education. But the problem is that we're not developing our educational system. So we are moving behind. So we're actually going further and further into being undeveloped. It's sad.
I think it's something that we need to put a lot of investment in. And I think they are trying, but at this point, we're still playing catch up. Like I said, when I put my son in school up here, the kind of classes, the kind of things that, like me, I have a master's degree, and I had to Google and stuff to help the child with his homework in primary school. And it's because they were doing things at the primary school level that I might not have been exposed to. So, like, it humbled me really quick, and it really opened my eyes to see, like, boy, if he's learning these things in grade 3, and I don't remember even touching on these things until we were like in 6th form. Imagine, like, by the time he gets to graduate from high school, how far ahead would he be of in these areas? And I'm not saying that the school system I'm not saying that the kids don't learn anything. I think what we do teach, or what we have taught over the years, we teach it well. Maths, well, maybe not maths, because I think we've been failing in maths. So
No,
that's not a good example.
we're failing in maths. No, we're terrible in maths teaching it. Terrible.
Let's say English. I mean, I think we teach English better than in the United States, probably. But with the direction that the world is heading, we are far behind in terms of catching up, especially in tech. Like in America, everywhere you go, it's STEM or STEAM now, because they add the arts element. Nevis needs to get on board, and we need to get on board fast. The courses that are offered for CXC and for CAPE, I think it could be a lot more diverse than it is now, so that the kids are exposed to more subject areas and more career possibilities besides accounting.
So stick a pin right there. So you said Nevis. So I don't know if it's solely Nevis, because the curriculum would have been coming from the Caribbean Examination Council, because that's ultimately who we prepare for.
That's true, but if you look at the courses that are offered for CXC examinations, the total list of courses that are offered to everybody, and the courses that are the subjects that are taken in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Oh, there's a difference?
Yes, we don't offer everything that's available. We don't offer everything that's available. Yes, so other countries would have other classes offered on their curriculum that we don't have. You could even look at it at the CAPE level. St. Kitts offers dance and theater at CFBC, and that's not even offered in Nevis.
We got LIPAC.
But Nevis doesn't offer. I don't think Nevis offers any of the arts as a subject at the Cape level, but it's offered at CFPC in St. Kitts. So right there,
Wow.
you see that
You
it's
got a
not
brain drain to St.
necessarily
Kitts from Nevis, right there.
right.
Right there. You're creating a brain drain situation
Right,
just
because
from Nevis to St. Kitts.
The Nevis students who would want to expand into that, they would have to go to St. Kitts. They can't get it at the Nevis Sixth Form College.
I
When the show is
understand.
over, look at the list of courses offered at CXC,
Okay.
and you'd see that there are a lot of courses that just aren't available to us.
But the courses that they have, I guess, I don't even know if they've changed. So I'm not going to say anything about them so much. But
I
if
know
they
they
change, it's
offer
probably
law
like one
now,
or
and that
two.
wasn't offered to us. I know that. So I
Law.
think they're adding some, but
Everybody a liar. Everybody a doctor. Everybody is this.
But everybody is a lawyer and a doctor and an accountant because everybody is exposed to business, science, and law in high school and sixth form. We become what we know. So when we're out there looking for subjects and stuff, most people will just gravitate to what to
They already
continue
are
what we
exposed
started
to.
in school. Right. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they
yeah.
were exposed to different subject areas in school, it would open up opportunities for more careers. And then we would have those people who could help develop the economies, the different economies outside of tourism. We could have a creative economy because we have more people exposed to the creative arts in school and who seek education and careers in those and come back and contribute. So I think that's where a lot of it starts.
Okay. Okay. Well, we touched on that. I'm going to also touch on healthcare. Another reason why I didn't go back is when I looked at the healthcare system, I felt like, no. I felt like no. I don't like the stories of hospital naga aspirin. I remember one time I reached to the emergency room. I had a fever of 104.5. And after I reached to the emergency room, the nurse tell me, oh, next time go to a doctor. And I'm like, what? What do you mean go to a doctor? I run in a fever of 104.5. I am dying. I come to the emergency room. You see what I'm saying? At this point, a doctor might tell me, you need to go to the emergency room if I come to a doctor office right here. It's like,
She
no,
might
you
tell
need
her
to go to the
husband, tell you,
emergency.
next time just dead. Don't bother
Yeah,
come here.
that's what I'm like. And these are the kind of things that I was like, I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for my family. You know, I want, just in case anything happen, you know, we have, though healthcare is expensive. Oh my
Very.
gosh, it's expensive. It's expensive. I could go to Mexico, find get cheaper healthcare. But still, though healthcare is expensive, it is
It's
there. It is
reliable.
existent. It's reliable. You know
It's
what I
higher
mean?
quality.
Yeah.
Even
You know,
with me, it's like our parents are getting up there where they might need healthcare more just from aging. Sorry, mommy.
well,
But I would feel more comfortable having my mother in the States to receive healthcare than back at home. Like I would have.
yeah.
It's sad. It's sad, and I'm not saying it to bash the doctors that are there, but it's just from the system that exists. I have more faith in the healthcare
My
system here
mother,
currently.
my mother had to move for health reasons, right? So I mean, it's sad, but it is the reality. The reality
In
is
reality.
is what it is. You know. We're gonna have to read some of these comments from Yasan, and
I see them coming
especially I
in.
know I see Marlene made a comment too. So I tend to look at the comments them that are two liners on my list. Um, Healthcare, and I would think healthcare was a reason, one of the reasons why I couldn't go back. You know, I mean, I agree with you with the child thing. I thought people would ask. I was like, yo, I got a son. When you're getting back home, I'm like, I I got at least 18 years now. Well, he's 2, but I need to see him
In
develop.
university.
I can't even invest in Nevis. Well, I can. But Nevisians don't have opportunities to investment. So if I never really left Nevis, I would not know anything about stock market.
The stock market.
Probably would have, but would have been involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
Maybe
couldn't
not.
participate. You can't participate. Well, you would have
Some
been able
people
to
do.
participate because
Some
you are a
people do
citizen.
participate. Yeah, some people still
Right,
do
but
in Nevis. I don't know how,
the
but they
ease
do
of
it.
access is not there. I think you
There-
were talking
There's
about it. When you hear stocks back home, you think about Bank of Nevis, National Bank, Cable and Wireless.
yeah.
Anybody else?
I
Hosfords.
mean, we used to got treasury bonds too.
Treasury. That's you can't buy treasury bills anymore.
Well, no money there,
Um,
so you know that no.
you can no longer purchase treasury bills. I mean, the only when it comes to investment opportunities available to the regular citizen back home, it's those few companies that have the publicly traded stocks, and then you have certificates of deposits from the bank. I think a lot of people try to use those as an investment vehicle, but Robinhood and
Yeah,
um,
Robin Hood.
all of
That's a
the
Robin
other,
Hood.
like you could pick up your phone and trade, like that's not available back home. And that's when you
Ooh,
think about, that's how you create wealth and you generate wealth, and you don't have
you see what Marlene just said?
imagine having to, that's a big turn off for me.
I was thinking about it today when I saw it. Like, we still don't have a blood bank, like a proper
We have
blood
a
bank, and we
blood
don't
bank, but
collect
it's how it's
plasma.
operated. It's how it's operated is the problem. We
Let me
have
get.
a,
But right now, man, I sell blood to ticket and sing. You're going every other day. You're going. I mean, up here you have blood shortages too, right? But
right.
it's like, are you going to
I
parking
remember
lot and you
when I first got
watch
my job, I used to take the train to work in Dallas, and we used to pass this place, and every morning I used to see a set of young guys lining up outside, and I used to be like,
Mhm.
what could possibly be in there giving away? Because I don't understand why every morning the line long outside, young black fellas. And one day I peeped to see the name on the building, and it was a plasma donation center.
Oh yeah, it's not donation, eh?
And
Yeah,
you go and pay. you
yeah,
get
it's
paid.
not a donation.
You get
Yeah,
paid for your
so
plasma.
the man ain't lining up to give the plasma for free. I think they're
That's
collecting
like
like a
a
150
side
or
hustle.
something like that. Yeah, it's like, man, a quick 150 million, I'll get that man some plasma right now, real quick.
Right. But the thing is, people back home, when you need plasma, and the people who come and might come to try to donate to you, if they don't come between certain hours, they can't donate. If you have a rare blood type, you have to literally go out and beg
Mm-hmm.
to save your life because you need the blood. And I think that's very
Beg.
sad. Those kinds of
That's
situations
scary.
frighten me.
It's scary. It's scary. It's scary. It is scary. And big up Gigi and the hustle. You know what I mean? She said she used to do she plasma.
In college,
Nobody
nobody had told me about it. Gigi, I would have gone too.
For sure.
Nobody told me
For
about
sure.
it.
For sure. Yeah, that accessibility is another reason why I had, like, you know, of course, COVID has changed it, but I used to go 2 o'clock in the morning, I need something, I go into Walmart to pick up this thing. Right now, I order something, I get it on next day. You know what I mean? Versus, I gotta wait a few weeks. One day, if you can reach, okay, reach.
West
Can
Tech
you get us
give
my customs?
problems.
You know what I mean? Customs officer might decide, I feel bad
They might
mileage
tax
today, and
me.
also I can tax them hard. What? You got this, yeah? Let me get a story. One time I order when like the Discman and CD players coming out, bro. I worked and I bought myself this new Discman. Cause you know I've always loved music. Anti-shock. You know, you could shake them and skip and then kind of thing there. Nice. FedEx, me track the thing all there. Reach FedEx. FedEx time, FedEx calls your package reach. How long it take me to reach by the airport? What? 15 minutes? By the time me reach by the airport, nobody could find me this man. No man on tax.
Somebody gone with it.
Somebody don't go with that. Somebody don't go with that this man there.
I don't want it more than.
I can't even do nothing. The only thing we could do is buy another one. I mean, there's no complaint mechanism to say, well, it was here, give me back this, want me money. You know what I mean? It's just, it gone. It's just gone.
I see as people say that stuff got stolen out of the boxes and stuff too. It's sad.
Yeah. Rough. Like Jetty say, you get tax. Like sometimes customs might want to charge you an extra tax, and some of the tax them is items. It's item tax. Yeah, it's the item tax, and that is one of the things. Being able to get things at this snap is like really
Amazon Prime. Like Amazon Prime changed the game. If I want to have a certain thing, I could go on my phone and order it now, and tomorrow morning when I wake up, it's there. You know, and now you have to wait for it to ship. You have to deliver in Miami or wherever your box is, and then ship down, and then they only ship down once or twice a week, and then you have to send invoice and picture and all kind of thing to get it coming. And up here you need to really think about it, and you get it.
You get it. That is the reason why I never went back home.
The cost of it too is ridiculous. Import duties kill you, dead.
Might as well not bother buy anything. You know
exactly.
What I mean? Oh, the
and
internet.
It's been a sad situation because we don't manufacture anything, but we can't afford to import it anyway. So
we can get into that. The internet was another reason. I am just going to say the internet is terrible in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Awful.
It is expensive. It's very expensive. I think 25 megs is like 100 and something a month or more. I don't even know. I'm pushing 500 right now, and I'm not even close to like top. You got man dealing with a gigabyte coming into their house and then kind of thing, making me feel like I outdated. You know what I mean? But guess what? I only paying a little $60 a month. You know, check. In a Nevis, if I was to get 500, I would probably need 10 grand. I don't have 10 grand a month to give them, right?
It's the reality.
Yeah. And the internet now, I think it should be considered as a basic necessity of life at this point. Because when the internet down, I feel like I can't do anything. Like
you can't do
banking gone, can't do this, can't walk, can't do this, can't do anything. I just feel gone. It is the world that we live in right now, right? And it's just going to get like more and more into that region. So
you mentioned banking, and I think this falls underneath accessibility. If someone writes me a check, I go into my app and I take a picture of the check, and it's on my bank account. I do not know when was the last time I had to set foot in a bank. Everything I do from my phone, I don't have to worry about walking downtown to go to the government building or to go to water department or to go to Nevlec to pay a bill.
Yeah.
Everything is done. I don't have to think about it. I have to set up your auto pay, and it comes out of your account. Like I said, somebody write me a check, I take a picture, and it goes on my account. $152.57
for about 12 megs.
It's crazy.
Data expensive too. Data expensive. A matter of fact, I have T-Mobile on my phone, right? So when I go to Nevis, I don't
You have
even
service.
look for a thing. I have data and I just use that. Because I don't
That's the
see
main
why in
reason
this
why
day
I
and
stick
age,
with T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, yeah, it's like, why the heck am I paying for so much for data? You put money on your phone, your data done. You know, you open
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and all them pages load up, boom, there goes your data.
Gone.
Done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, yeah, that convenience of being able to pay your bills and so easily and stuff like that. I think they're trying, but you know, they
They,
would come up with some kind of excuse. Yeah.
Netflix outages, yeah, does hit people hard. When I was home in October and I had to work um when I was there, and I had literally pray that I didn't have to lose electricity or
Lose
anything. So
electricity.
I don't. Yeah, but it's sad that we have to think about that in this day and age. It's 2023, but
Yeah.
it's a real issue. And then the
Well, I
water
remember.
problem. We
Oh,
still have water
go ahead.
rationing and stuff. That's
Yeah.
another thing too.
Wow, I didn't even realize I still go through that. I remember being in Nevis and just plugging up this TV on the wall. You know, this time flat screen TV just coming as fresh. Just hook it up on the wall. I kid you not. I kid you not. Just set it up on the wall, plug it in, turn it on, brap. Current gone, come back on quick. TV
TV
done.
gone.
TV gone.
Lord,
You think never let buy back that? Nope.
Lord.
Nope. I think the only thing we were able to get was duty free and the next TV because we were able to prove that thing. But just so not even get to use the TV. Not even get to use the TV. You know how disappointed I was? Just like that. Broop, gone.
Up here, if current goes, then something definitely wrong.
Yeah. It's bigger than
So that
just
it's
current line.
it's a huge change you have to consider, a huge
Hurricane.
inconvenience you have to face.
Even with hurricane, we still got current sometimes. Current
Current,
might
yeah.
go off. The man fight to keep current on. Yeah, we can just turn off that. You check. But
Lock it off in
it's a lot of lines are above ground versus underground. Customer service is a problem in St. Kitts and Nevis and being able to resolve problems. And you mentioned bank. I'm going to the bank. I went to the bank thinking I'm gonna be in the bank for 5 minutes to get some money.
In Nevis?
I ran into the bank and I end up spending the whole day in the bank.
That's
And
a
you
you
wouldn't believe what
problem.
happened. They give me account, you know. That's what ended up happening, you know. I had to beg, like I had to find out where my money gone. And these are the kind of issues. These can't happen up here. You think them problems that could happen here in the States? When I say give away my account, I mean my money gone in somebody else's name. Yeah, that's a different discussion. Yeah. Imagine that. Gone into a bank. Provided it's my father name, but still.
I know the
That
same
is not a
name.
that is not a mistake. No. My legal name is Ira Lipton Willett Jr.
Junior.
His legal name is Ira Lipton Willett. My documents them say Ira Lipton Willett Jr. My passport, Ira Lipton Willett Jr. Every document that is official, every document that I've ever presented to anybody is Ira Lipton Willett Jr. I stress on that. My name is not Ira Lipton Willett. That is my father's name. He is the original. He's the prototype. You know what I mean? I cannot take him my name. I'm Junior. Yeah, I'm a carbon copy of that. That is a discussion that we would have to have. It's just the transfers from bank. I really want to call out the bank name, you know, name and so just because maybe sometime I'm gonna feel like it on a different show. I will talk about that story and how that happened. Imagine if me and my father
But
never used to
if
talk.
you ever think 5 minutes in a bank in Nevis, yes, Lipton, that's his middle name.
Lipton, yeah. You see that?
Strong middle name. But if you ever think 5 minutes in a bank in Nevis would get you anywhere, no.
It's supposed to be the bank lines not even full.
Mm-mm.
And then, I had to deal with the attitude of the teller, but then, not everybody is the same. I did get some help and good, vibes, but you know how that is. Ask, find out that make me account redundant and all kind of thing, and like, how me can give me money? Oh, you need passport, you need proof of income. Proof of income will get me money? It's like, what? It's like me money what me
Yes.
done got in your bank, and you're telling me need proof of money. Anyway, but that's a different conversation. Those kind of backwardness in society, right, is what I can't really deal with. You see what I'm saying? Those kind of backwardness in society. So we,
I have one that I think might be
yeah,
controversial.
go
The
ahead.
culture.
Uh,
The culture.
explain.
Society.
Yeah.
When you leave a place like St. Kitts Nevis and you go to a place like America, I'm in Texas, and you
Mm-hmm.
get used to leaving your home, going where you want, when you want, any time of
Mm-hmm.
day, any time of night, and nobody's minding your business.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to think about going back home to where if you go anywhere or do anything and people want to call you mother even though you are an adult,
Mm-hmm.
and people like, to me, that's a deterrent for a lot of people. Once you get out and you taste what life is outside, and I'm not knocking Nevis because like I said, I don't think anybody loves Nevis more than me,
Me.
but when you experience that culture shift and you have to think about going back to that, to me, I could see it as a deterrent as to why um some people don't want to come back. And even if it's not just the minding your business part,
Mm-hmm.
just how things operate, I think customer service would fall into that as well. Like, not going to places and having to make noise to get your business conducted
Mm-hmm.
when that's what you're paying the people to do. Things like that, I feel,
Right.
is a huge deterrent for me personally.
At least you got some escape when they're behaving that way. Let me say a manager, let me say a supervisor. I mean, it's not all perfect out here, of course, and there's no way that I'm talking down on Nevis. I'm just pointing out reasons why I'm not living in Nevis, and so is Siobhan, and that is a good point. There you have you have maybe gender inequality in some countries, like somebody
Yes.
from like Saudi Arabia might decide, yo, I get to bus off, I ain't going back to Saudi Arabia because they might not treat me there as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're doing better now, but still, they're behind. You look at the the I don't know how to say LGBT
LGBTQ.
community. Yeah, then the people in it that I remember like being a youngster. I got some lashes because I tell a young man, I must be said, you're gay, you know what I mean? And a few of us got some
I
some
remember the
lashes
incident.
in
I
front of the
remember the incident.
class. I was just trying to help the young man recognize who he was, because as soon as he moved out to Nevis now, look, yeah,
We
full
talked
bloom.
about it, and I told you why you were wrong already, so you know why you
I
were
need an
wrong.
apology from the young. I need an apology from the
You
man.
do
That's
not
what I
need an
really need.
apology because you do not need an
I need an
apology
apology.
because it was not your place to out somebody. People out themselves. It was never your place to
Uh,
tell somebody
I
what they
wasn't
are.
outing him. I was telling him it's okay to be yourself. Is what I was saying. Yeah, like you could be yourself, King. Just do what you gotta do. Don't let nobody box you.
But if he didn't tell you that that is what he is, then you don't have to tell him that. So that's
Well,
another conversation.
he not had to go make noise or make me get licks in front of the class, and then no, guess what? No, I feel like
That that's another
I'm out of
that's another
out.
conversation. But the point is,
Yeah.
one of the reasons why he probably would never return to Nevis is because of that experience, Ira. The culture
Yeah.
about
What?
the culture
And then me get
surrounding
licked.
LGBT. Hmm?
And then me get
You
licked.
get
But anyway,
you deserve the licks.
bye or something else. But
Okay?
no. We could look at the incident with the Eiffel Tower. Someone got proposed to on the Eiffel Tower, and then it was a big conversation. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let me get
And
past
that would
that.
drive them to not want to return home. To be
Yeah,
honest,
you get what I'm
I could
saying?
understand if anybody who is part of the the Q community says that they don't
Yeah,
want to return home. I could
yeah,
understand why, because to be honest, we have laws that restrict their lifestyle. So that I think that's definitely a factor for um Gigi said who says the Alphabet Club. I don't know if that's politically correct.
I don't know. Gigi wouldn't get me in any trouble on here because when
You don't get
they
licked.
come stronger now. Yeah. I don't just think. But so we discuss the issues of brain drain, lack of revenue, lack of development. We say why people and ourselves decided, we're not moving in. Our audience have said what it is, but we're not just about talking the talk and bringing it down, right? We want solutions,
Mhm.
right? There have to be a
Mhm.
solution. I mean, we would look at countries like Taiwan. Taiwan
Mhm.
moved from the type of country that was very restricted by a government into a manufacturing company, into a technologically advanced company. Now people are going to Taiwan for education. You don't find like a lot of Taiwanese are migrating out of Taiwan to find better opportunities. So so to answer your question, can you escape it? The answer is yes. We have
Taiwan is an
real
example.
world data and examples in some countries, right?
But what
We
would they
also
have had to do that?
Well, that is a good question. We also have the case of Brazil that did it in reverse. Brazil went from an advanced society
To
back to a
developing.
developing society. So you're never out of the water. You know,
Mm.
you have to continue, because to be advanced, you actually have to continue to advance. What would Taiwan have done? Okay, JT said Taiwan has natural resources. Yes, Taiwan is lucky. They actually have the leading semiconductor industry in the world. And when you talk about technological advancement, you have to say semiconductors. So they
Semiconductor.
have that. They have that. They have that. What can we do in St. Kitts and Nevis? Well, let's look at Ireland. Ireland? No, not Ireland. Iceland. Thank you for Iceland. Geothermal. This talk about geothermal, I get upset when it's being used as a political ploy to get people to vote for it. Of course, everybody wants to spend less on electricity, but we have to now start to look at what geothermal really mean. What could geothermal really mean to St. Kitts and Nevis? Well, for one, resources. There's a lot of byproducts of geothermal, minerals and stuff that come up, and there's value in some of those minerals that come up that we could explore, right? Countries like Iceland and stuff are able to pay their citizens because of geothermal. The other thing we would be able to do is we would have cheaper electricity than neighboring countries. So we could bring
And more
manufacturing
reliable.
jobs that you want me to tell you something what about a lot of current? Bitcoin mining. That is why they're classing it as something that is not environmentally friendly. But imagine us saying, oh, come mine your Bitcoin here in Nevis, where we have green electricity. You know what I'm saying? There's money coming in. And guess what? You're also introducing a new industry. So the premier was on this show. He spoke about Bitcoin,
I was
but
gonna
he was
ask you.
talking.
I was gonna tell you some very much like what the premier when he was here, because
No, 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 no,
he
no, no,
talked
no, no,
about
no, no.
mining.
He wasn't. He wasn't talking about mining of Bitcoin. That man. He was talking about the The exchange. The exchanges of Bitcoin. Because when you look at something like crypto.com, something like that one that just crashed with Fried Bankman, them man moved the exchange outside of the US to escape some of the legal restrictions you have in the US. You know, setting up your LLC and paying certain things. Nevis is perfect for that. Nevis is one of the places that is perfect to set up LLCs. People love it. That's why we had such a great offshore banking community. It just would have been more money for people who don't have money coming in, bankers setting up a crypto exchange. It would have just been a little bit of people being employed versus, oh, we actually introducing a new technology here.
So you're
What
saying that we already have the base for it. We just need to
Well, for the crypto exchanges, we probably have the base. I don't know what else financial laws we would have to look at, but I'm talking more about like the mining, the
mining.
developing. You know what I mean? Though people are moving from proof of work to proof of stake, you don't know. You need validators. So these validators run on electricity. So you would have your validators running on electricity and what's not, which is cheaper, and that is what we're going to sell to them. Hi, come here. Guess what? We have cheap electricity. Come true. You see what I'm saying? Like geothermal have so much potential to change the lives of Nivisians and Kittitians, I guess, because now they're involved. But sometimes I don't feel like politicians want to, especially unless they can't benefit. And I'm not saying the current government. I'm just saying politicians on a whole.
I think the problem lies in not realizing the real and true benefit that could come of it. I will try not to get too much into it, but I feel like sometimes we lose out as a country on certain things because of the lack of foresight by those in leadership in some areas. Like, I'm not just jamming the current government. I think it happens all over the Caribbean. But I think it really takes visionary people to understand what something like you just rambled off how geothermal could benefit crypto. I think there are a lot of other areas that could be it could be opened up as new industries and new developments just from geothermal actually becoming a thing. But if those who are in power don't really see it or know it, how could it happen? Because they are the ones who have to effect the change. And I think it goes back to having people who know about these things in the positions to actually make it happen. I mean, if you don't really know about it and you're in the job, I mean, you'll be doing what you're told versus someone who actually has the know-how about those kinds of things, who would be in a better position to actually push it and make it happen. So
yeah,
that's my personal view about it. I get riled up when I hear about geothermal because to me geothermal is just an election word.
It's in second farm with hearing about geothermal, from Michael Perkins. It's the
Every
first time
5
I can
years.
recall. Yeah.
Every 5 years.
Another thing, of course, would be, like you said, they need a plan. You need vision, right? So you have to say, what is our leading industry right now?
Tourism.
Correct. But what aspect of tourism is our leading? What aspect of tourism? Exclusive tourism in Nevis?
Yeah, we the niche. We have a niche market. We're catering to 5-star and
Diamonds
that
we
kind of
deal
stuff.
with. Diamonds.
Huh?
Diamonds
Yes,
we deal with.
five diamonds. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are niche tourism market.
Yeah.
Ish.
Which is stifling. That is what I'm going to say. It is a stifling part of tourism to be in. It is highly dependent on, I mean, tourism in itself is highly dependent on people, but it is dependent on time of year. That is why you have this slow season and this fast season. So when you think about tourism now, you have to start thinking about different areas of tourism, right? And why you would think about different areas of tourism is because different areas of tourism is going to open opportunity for different industries. So
Exactly.
so yeah, so tourism on a whole is one thing, but when you start to think about what kind of tourism, health tourism,
Ecotourism, you have medical tourism.
yeah,
There's a lot of different ways we could branch out
a lot of
and
things we could do.
create. Mm-hmm.
Create other jobs, create other
Mm-hmm.
industries. How would health tourism help? Well, of course, you would have to build infrastructure and facilities. So, of course, construction is going to benefit right off the bat, right? But now
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about major facilities that probably going to have, um, and you would hope that it would have advanced tech in there. So you would need technological people. And then now you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be offering certain things, right? So the certain things you're going to be is like, well, we might specialize in orthopedic. We might specialize in
Orthopedic. Mm-hmm.
what else? We might specialize in plastic surgery. Whatever it is, now you'll need more specialized doctors, which is a problem we have in Nevis, right? We don't have a lot of specialized doctors
We have a
because
lot
they
of
don't offer
doctors.
it. Yeah, but they're
Right.
no specialty. So you have that, right? You have the ability to now starting to use tourism to open up different avenues in your
Correct.
country, right?
Correct. I don't think
Because
I don't think we need to go into anything brand new. We could start off at where we are and just
branch out.
apply some innovation
That's it.
and take it further, you know.
That's it.
And I think
That's
that
it.
that alone would create a lot more opportunities that people would want to come back to. Um,
N- Go ahead. You were saying something?
no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, well, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna blame the government for this, right? And when I mean not gonna blame the government, I mean in the sense of I don't expect the government to do it. Because guess what? The government already have enough on their plate. But what the government needs to do is to create the environment, create the
Exactly.
incentive. How did Four Seasons
Exactly.
come to Nevis? There was tax incentive. Four Seasons didn't just land on our shores. I
Mm-hmm.
think people feel like Four Seasons just decided I want to go Nevis and I got Nevis. I'm pretty sure there was other candidate countries and islands for
Right.
Four Seasons, but maybe what we offered, maybe they wanted to come to Nevis, but ultimately is what we offered them is probably what got them to decide, yeah, this is where I want to be. So if the
Right.
government is interested, they would identify areas. So now when I drive on the road and I see areas, this area is zoned for medical development. So you have what is called medical city, right? I'm pretty sure you
Mm-hmm.
would have your version of medical city there where you go there, you have all the hospital, children hospital, because
Mm-hmm.
they create that. They, they
Mm-hmm.
they identify that, and I'm pretty sure you buy the lands there, you get it at a reduced rate, you get it tax off, you get something because now they want to develop this investment. Let me give you a little story. There's things called opportunity zones in America, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what opportunity zone is, it's areas that they decide, hey, we would like to develop this area. um, if you have capital gains and you roll your capital gains into these opportunity zones, don't worry about paying us anything.
Taxes.
These are the kind of things what governments are gonna have to do to entice investors to come onto our shores. And then likewise, what is going to happen is that people are going to return. People are going to return because now there's opportunities for them in their field, in the place that they
Exactly.
love. Yeah, Reese
Exactly.
red light this. Well, Marlene, you well remember Reese red light district, boy. You well remember that.
But on the medical tourism, I think that's something that should be looked into. Jetty said not to offer any BBS, but BBS is what's making money right now. When you look at the
Yeah.
people going traveling to DR and whatever, it makes a lot of money. But if you were to stick to like outside of plastic surgery, I think the
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean as a whole could benefit from having one or two countries that really look into developing a medical tourism industry. Because
Mm-hmm.
if we just look at social media, um, it seems like every week or every other week we hear about someone who is having to seek funds to travel to, usually it's the United States, to seek medical care for, usually it's cancer or something else.
Mm-hmm.
And when we hear that cancer is the leading cause of death in St. Kitts and Nevis right now, I think
Mm-hmm.
it would be great for our leaders to really look at developing um, a cancer center for the Caribbean. So, and it wouldn't just serve
Oncology.
us at that point, it would
Mm-hmm.
serve others in the region. So if people in Antigua or um, Statia or wherever else, they won't have to travel to the United States either to seek help for treating cancer. They could come to Nevis. And then for that to develop, though, it would need some planning and some foresight, because we have a lot of specialist doctors, and I think I know of one, maybe two oncologists in the federation, and I think that
Oh.
is, it's lacking since we have so many people suffering from cancer. I think we really need more just to deal with our population. But if we really want to look into developing an industry like the medical industry, I think we could pick one or two areas that we really want to focus on, something like oncology, and I think maybe like renal, what do you call that, urology.
Mm-hmm.
Focus, find one or two focus points, develop those,
Yeah.
develop some
Mm-hmm.
nice centers for treatment, and then offer our
Mm-hmm.
services to people in the region. And if we could do it cheap enough, we might even have people coming from the States,
Yeah.
because treatment,
Yeah.
cancer treatment in America is crazy expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it would take those types of conversations, and not just conversations, but putting action behind it. Um, And right then and there, we would have an incentive for the Dr. Guilds and the Dr. Isles to decide, okay,
Come back.
I might leave where I am and I might go home and contribute there, because there's a worthwhile endeavor taking place back home to contribute to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Mind blown. Excellent point. You, will American insurance cover foreign treatment? I don't know. It would have to be some kind of talk. Insurance company like to save money, so I would think if you're telling them, yeah, we're gonna charge less, you could work out something with them. I'm pretty sure they would say yes. I would pay for it. You know what I mean? It's like you're gonna leave America to go to a country that's gonna offer cheaper thing. As an insurance company, for me, that's a no-brainer. In the other way around, when you try to leave with your Caribbean insurance to go to America, they don't want to pay the extra
yeah,
money.
they don't want
Go,
it.
go,
Yeah.
yeah. I think once you could get the costs and they could save money, they're gonna do it. Elective surgeries, I don't know what percentage it is, Jetty, but it's a high percentage for elective surgery. So BBLs, every surgery is dangerous. But what you'll find is people trying to save money and going to some.
Some of those surgeries, if doing it in outside of America, even if you don't have the benefit of insurance, it's still cheaper than if you were to do it in America with insurance. So some
Mm,
of those decisions would be easy. I have a brother who had to do a procedure, and he left the States and did it in St. Kitts just because it's a simple enough procedure, and it would have been
mhm.
cheaper even with insurance. So
And that shows. I mean, that happens, right? You know,
mhm,
people, and that in itself is a proof that medical tourism can work because we
it can
have like
happen.
dental and stuff. I think is cheaper. You know, for
Mhm.
me to go and get tooth extraction in Nevis versus here. It might be cheaper depending on what your
It's
insurance
cheaper.
look like. That kind of stuff.
Guys are
Uh,
flying to Turkey right now to get hair transplants like crazy. Like
yeah,
if the cost if the cost is worth it, people would travel anywhere for certain procedures to save on costs. So I think we just need to figure out which ones would be more worthwhile and stick to it and really sit down and develop it. Start finding what specialists we want to develop and start sending off people now to specialize, because right now we have a bunch of general doctors and they're doing a great job. But we
mhm.
need specialists. We need specialists, and that's something that I think when we have so many general doctors, it wouldn't make sense for us to be importing people to do those jobs for us when we could develop our own. So I really hope it's something that is looked into. Dr. Drew is a doctor by profession. I think he should, if there's anyone who would have the passion to develop an industry like that, it would be him. So I'm hoping that that's something that he's looking into doing seriously and soon.
Yeah, definitely. I know they want to expand the hospital, but then the hospital need fixing, but you don't have the professionals to man the some of the wards, right?
Hospital is
What
a
what
trigger word for me because we have a pediatric wing, but I don't know if how many pediatricians we
pediatricians we
have.
have? Yeah, and we're probably gonna have to import one. I mean, I have a cousin that's a pediatrician, but good luck getting
Would
her
she
back to
return
Nevis.
home? Exactly.
But
If you're
I
talking
don't know.
about my friend, I don't know how easily she would return home.
Yeah, it's very, very unlikely. But the other thing is, um, we need. When last you hear, what kind of laws, what kind of changes to laws do we have in St. Kitts and Nevis? Legal reform,
There's
not
another
much, right?
buzzword that I have
Think,
attached to elections.
yeah,
I've attached legal reform to elections again because time and time we have people who campaign on that, and when the term is over,
every
there's no
it's just done.
change.
None. You have a society where, and that is a problem to me. We're not updating our laws. Privacy laws is one, yeah, but we're just not updating laws in general. There's We're not making any changes to our laws. You have some laws on the books that need to go. We have laws that need to be added. There's just you hear laws like window tint law. Like that's what you could come up with. Window tint law. Lack of window tint.
Our constitution was written in 1983 when
Yeah.
Wi-Fi wasn't even a thing. The internet,
It was
social media wasn't even a thing. And you would think
plagiarized.
that by now, when you see society advancing at a certain pace, you would expect the laws to advance at the same pace of society. And
Hmm.
that has not been happening.
Ever. It's never
Even when
happened.
you look at
No one cares
finance, we
about
need
it.
more finance laws. We need finance. We need laws we need everything.
What JT, you were saying not to
that's
say
what that's
about
what I'm
red.
wondering.
Yeah, I missed that. Um, of course, they have to.
No. Let me adjust this. He asked if I'm a CCM woman. I would like to know what
What?
gave him that. What gave him that? Um, what made him think that?
If a CCM woman, what? How is that
Yes,
even? How is
he
that
likes
even
to
a
peg
part of the
people.
conversation tonight? Yeah,
I
JT,
I
big up
I'm gonna
yourself.
give I'm gonna give him the real entertainment network response and tell him that we are neutral over here.
Neutral, neutral,
We're
and
neutral.
we love neutral because we talk
We're
and nobody
neutral and
can
government
hold anything over
critical.
us. Oh yeah,
Hmm.
oh yeah, definitely. Government is going to get their share. NRP, CCM, Labour, whoever in there is going to get their share of it because that's what you're supposed to do as an intellect. And your mind is supposed to be able to touch these kind of topics. Um, Hosing. So, they had the hosing project for returning, what they call it?
University
Returning college
Heights.
students. Yeah,
University
yeah.
Heights.
But I wonder how that project went. I
I
wonder
think
if I could have
to be
easily
honest, I
gotten it.
think it was a good move. When I
Yeah.
heard about it, it was to me, I was excited about it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good initiative, but like you said, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how it was executed, so I can't
How
really
was it
comment.
handled? Who really
I
got
know there
in them
are
homes for
homes
them?
built. I know there are homes being built there. I know that at least that. Um,
Mm-hmm. Is there a
but I don't know
mixture?
the objective
Is there
was.
some sort of political affiliation? That is it? Just that? Oh yeah, let me get in. Because this is a problem. That let me say this because we didn't mention that. One of the reasons for brain drain is the political environment. People would just
Mhm.
move out of the country because the government not in power. If you look at
Empower.
places um, where you have political turmoil, that is another reason why people move because of political turmoil,
Mhm.
political corruption. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that the governments that we have are politically corrupt. So nobody try to quote me and say that Ira said that they're politically corrupt. I am saying though, if some people are not happy with how the government is operating and they have an escape, they're going to use that escape option. I did not
That
list
is
that as
true.
one of the reasons why I am outside of St. Kitts and Nevis. But that is a reason why people do stay out of their country and
Yeah,
brain drain.
it's a real problem. People don't return if their government is not in power because they feel like the situation would not favor them. They won't have certain opportunities just because their government is not in power. And whether or not that happens in St. Kitts and Nevis, if you don't want to say it happens in St. Kitts and Nevis, we don't have to. Let's just say it happens in the Caribbean, of which St.
It
Kitts and
happens,
Nevis is a part.
which is okay. I love how you put that one. That's a perfect one. Um, but affordable housing, of course, people need places to live. You know what I mean? So when you retire from the government, what percentage of your salary you get as a pension? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't
I
work for the
don't either.
government. And when I was working for the government, they didn't want
Ask
to give
Iona
me
too. I
money.
have a feeling she might know. She's the
Yeah,
pension lady. I think she knows all things pension.
they didn't want to give me, why was it? They didn't want to give me an appointment because I had locks. But don't worry, man. We're supposed to be having a conversation about Rastafari and oppression soon enough. But yeah, affordable housing is one of the things that people would need. I've said that about 3 times now. I don't think I've gone into it. So when I return, I would like to build a house. Not me. I'm just talking as people. I ain't building a house in Nevis. No, no. Um, is that I don't want to build a house in Nevis? It just wouldn't make sense for me to build a house in Nevis. But people want to build houses in Nevis. But like we just mentioned, student loan, no mortgage. I need a car loan. A Suzuki costs $100 and something $1,000. A Suzuki is the equivalent of a Maybach in Nevis. You see what I'm saying? A
Yep.
Suzuki is driving a Tesla S
hmm
in Nevis. You see what I'm saying?
If you have to
If
go
I
and
drive
buy
a
it directly from TDC and Hasfords,
yeah, I have a Honda Accord. I drive a Honda Accord, a modest vehicle. But if that Honda Accord was in Nevis, big ride, big
big,
ride,
big, big,
and that comes with big loans. It's like
especially if you have the backup camera and the side camera and everything, money,
okay, money, and
big
then
money. And
I
if
go
you
go deal
have to
with
import it on your
customs.
own, exactly.
Yeah,
If you're buying it directly from TDC and Hasfords, it's an arm and a leg. But if you want to go
yeah.
the what so should be the cheaper route and importing your own vehicle, that alone would kill you.
Yeah, you have to
Gigi
do
said
that.
she will ship a car
Tell her
parts.
just put a dent in your car and tell them it's a wrecked vehicle and you're fixing it here. You got. Well, yeah. So when you start to think about that, no, it's important for you to have some place to live, right? Outside all of that, you need some place to live, and they have to be affordable housing, and you want a certain standard because now you're moving from a society where you might have been introduced to a certain standard of living, and you want
AC,
to kind of maintain or right
AC,
off the bat. Right off the bat. And
AC.
electricity has to on. So if you not got AC, it's like if you got AC but the electricity has to on, so you know make no difference.
But I understand
That
what
is
you're
a
saying.
problem.
You have you're accustomed to a certain standard of living,
Yeah.
and you would like to transfer that back home in an affordable way. That's not always
Yes.
possible.
Yes, it is not always possible. So what the government did with what they call again University Heights
University
is a good
Heights.
yeah, is a good initiative. You hope that they would have more of that, for the skilled people. They need more ideas to develop small businesses as well, more lenient laws. Now, I think they're actually trying to restrict the small businesses in terms of like I heard which is not a problem. But they're saying like the vehicle coming in you have to prove that this vehicle is actually going to benefit your business, which makes sense. I'm surprised they
It
wait till
does.
now to do it. You know
It
what I mean?
does.
Like
Right.
duh. Like
Because anybody
imagine
with
I
a
got
business license could just keep bringing in vehicles and saying it's for the business. So I
well,
understand.
I mean, how much is a business license?
I don't even know.
Probably not can compare to the cost where you got pep and duty. So if you're smart, you just
Hello.
open a business and then bring in a
Business.
vehicle right after. Yeah, right now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. When I go home, all I can say, I mean, they might say I'm a returning national, so I'm supposed to get certain things duty free. But you go home and say, you know what, may I go run Uber, so may I bring in this chance, yeah, to run Uber for my business, for my business. So don't worry about it. This is what it's for. You want to see me pick up
You
people?
giving the people them ideas now.
Picking up people. Those are loopholes. Loopholes are
They are meant to be
loopholes.
exploited.
They're meant to be exploited. They're meant to be exploited. But it is what it is. That is one of the ways that we could do it. Of course, they're gonna have to find a way to increase wages, right? No
I think that's the number one thing. Again, is the money.
wages.
The money.
Well, I mean, you look at a salary of a six-figure salary here in the United States, and then Uncle Sam said, "Let me talk to you for a little bit. I need about 22% of that, maybe 25, maybe 33, 39, depending wherever bracket you fall in. I want a good percentage of that." And then you got Social Security. You also have other stuff like your health care. You look at your check, it's like, boy, where this money really gone? Boy, you know what I mean? I feel like in Nevis, because you lack some of those advancements, your money tend to go further.
Stretch.
But you just gotta make up in your mind that I ain't got to stay healthy, eh? So I got to plant food. I got to whatever I got to do to stay healthy. I got to try to stay healthy as long as possible, because if I do not stay healthy, dog dead with me. That's it. You get what I'm saying? Is there any benefit of brain drain?
Yes, when I was doing my research, the one main thing that came up was that in countries that have a substantial amount of people living outside due to brain drain, they contribute back to their home country in the form of remittances. So that's the what you call it, moneygrams and all of that. So they're able to contribute to their families, and then the families have more money to pump into the economy because they earn income at a higher rate, so they have more money that they could send back home to help their family.
Yeah.
But I did find the research did show that as in places in like the Caribbean where the rate of the brain drain is so high, like the money that is sent back, it doesn't cover the cost of the people leaving. But
Mm.
there are benefits. There are
Yeah.
benefits.
Benefits. I could think of that one only. And, you know, like you say, does it's very minute. It's not even something that we could count. It
Right.
happens. Like, yeah, money can come in, but that is also versus me actively living in that country and spending money repeatedly in that
Exactly.
economy,
Exactly.
you know, versus me
Hmm.
sending a portion of
A portion.
my thing, which it also goes
Right.
to the problem, right? I'm living in another country, so I'm sending a portion of my salary versus living in my country where I would hope to earn a certain salary and that money is continuously spending and I'm growing and I'm investing in banks. The banks have money to invest because I'm saving with them. Um, in return, people are now able to get more loans, because
Hmm.
banks might feel like they have more reserve to give people more
Hmm.
loans, more opportunity. Hopefully they decide, well, let me start a business loan initiative to kind of boost business. You know, I never heard of any. Well, we had that. The SIDF was giving like 100,000 to people, you know, to start businesses. You remember that? Under
I
the
think so.
previous Labour administration, I think it was 100,000 to start business, and they would get a little training and so. In terms of that, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Um, I think we had a healthy discussion, and I thank everyone for commenting. I don't know, Siobhan, would you want to add anything? Did we miss anything we probably should go
Ah,
over?
I don't think so. Did we talk about possible solutions? Yeah, we talk about creating
Yeah,
and the environment for it to happen. So
yeah, I,
I think we covered everything.
yeah. I think we just gave like a top, like so there's more examples for a lot of
A lot more.
yeah, a lot more examples that I was just looking at the clock and it's been 2 hours. So
There
I
we
kind of
go.
just decided let's move on. There were, like I mentioned, we didn't even mention political turmoil as a reason why people leave their
Yeah,
countries. We wanted to give Haiti as an example of what's going on with Haiti.
and
Um,
natural disasters as well.
Natural disasters. Some people leave after like major hurricanes or earthquakes and them kind of things. There is a thing. Advertise next time. Yeah, I purposely did not advertise this show. I wanted Siobhan to ease in gracefully.
It's my
And
fault. I was
she
nervous.
she was nervous. I told her there was nothing to be nervous about, but I
The
could
rough
tell that
crowd is a rough crowd.
she got rid of it. She got rid of it. So I purposely did not um advertise that Real Talk Kinda was back. I never mentioned it on the topics. I didn't tell them to mention it on the topics, and that was all by design. I wanted her to have a light crowd for her first show, and so she could say,
My
"This ain't
training
nothing.
wheels
This
are
ain't nothing.
on.
This is nothing.
I
This is
did
nothing.
we tell the people that this is temporary?
This is nothing, right? Okay, so this is temporary. Just so you all know, the silhouettes will remain the same. Ira and Reese, but Siobhan has said that she would fill in from time to time now. So I would just like to officially welcome Siobhan to the Real Entertainment Network, and she's always been a part in the background. I just told her it's her time now to come in the forefront. Uh, Siobhan is an intellect of of the highest degree, and I don't mean degree of college degrees. I'm just talking about she's always been a real smart person, intelligent. So she would have a lot to offer the
You're setting
audience
high
in our discussions.
expectations. You're setting very high expectations.
So if you guys want to join the Real Entertainment Network
Thank you.
chat, right, which is called Hot Topics, and see Siobhan in action from time to time, because she's saying I setting expectations. When I was told Siobhan is the boss of the chat, I was people say,
Who?
who she
Who
be?
said that?
Don't worry about
Who
you
said
don't worry about
that?
all of that, man. You don't have to worry about all of that. But everyone else seemed to be CCM.
What did you say?
You say, good thing we got China. Everyone else seemed to be CCM. Jetty is just, Jetty, right? I can't wait to
Jetty,
meet up
if
with
you
Jetty.
join the chat, you would know exactly how I lean. So join the chat if you want to find out.
Yeah. I don't. We probably could drop the chat link in there for those who's not in that WhatsApp group. But that WhatsApp group is kicking.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, you see, yeah, she have her teen girls listening. So
Oh, that's
girl power
awesome,
right now.
Judy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
We
one
do
of the reasons why I decided to join, to bring the female perspective. So,
the female perspective, and we appreciate it.
my best
And
friend just joined. Hi, bestie.
okay, best friends joining. But yeah, so the next show we're gonna advertise. I think I think Siobhan, how was it for this first show? Was it as bad as you thought?
No, it
Well,
wasn't. I think
okay.
my nerves kind of went down after a few minutes. I was nervous about the chat mostly, if we would have people engage. So it was good to have people engaging in the comments. So thank you guys a lot. You made it a lot easier for me. And I didn't see anybody cussing me tonight. I know
Nobody
sometimes
ain't cuss you.
I know sometimes the fellas just get some hard stone, mostly from Jetty and stuff. But
Politics. Yeah.
Yes, for
Yasan
sure,
Farai
for
was
sure.
on this show. Before we were thinking, Yasan Tafari might be somebody that we could reach out for our next conversation too. So
Definitely.
we're talking to one individual. For that, I'm not gonna call their name until I get confirmation. So so Reese is not here right now, but Reese is going to be back. Siobhan said it's temporary. I tell her she's gonna catch the bug. She might even start her own show. Let's see.
Oh,
She
that's
has a lot to
ambitious.
offer. Siobhan, trust me. You got a lot to offer. But I'll see you guys next Monday with our next topic, and we're going to advertise it once we get confirmation that we have a guest. So it's going to be our first round with a guest, and it's going to be excellent. So until the next time, it's been
Real talk, real talk, real talk.